Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you guys are doing fantastic, and I hope you guys will enjoy this part 2 to one that you guys have been spamming. Please do a part 2, please do a part 2. When's part 2 coming out? When's part 2 coming out? Yeah, so apparently you guys like this series, so I definitely will be delivering today, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and with that said, let's get straight into it. Last time we left off with Inko dropping or picking up Izuku after she dropped off him at Guy and Kakashi's dojo. So she would pick him up after a really dark secret would be revealed about a little part of her character. And now we are going to actually time skip 4 years. So, little side note, just for those who didn't watch the first part, although if you're watching this part, you probably did watch the first part. Yes, Inko was selling her body, if you didn't get that. That's what she's prostituting herself, if you did not understand. Hopefully you did, and hopefully I didn't just ruin your innocence if you didn't know what I meant. And if you don't know, still don't know what I mean, don't look it up. Please, just don't ruin your innocence. If you're innocent enough to not know what that is, do not try and figure out what it is. You'll probably figure it out in school eventually. Or wherever you are. If you're an adult and you don't know, then you can look it up. But please, if you're under the age of 18 and you still are that innocent, do not look it up. But with that said, let's once again get straight into it. So Guy would actually be quite surprised at Izuku's determination and will to keep fighting. This guy is even more determined than Lee. So Izuku has been training every single day after school, on the weekends. It did not matter. In fact, on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, he would actually try and push himself to go more and more. So normally he'd just do the normal, I think it was 5 hours, until eventually, by the time he's 8 years old, could train for nearly 24 hours straight. Yes, that's insane amounts of stamina. And Guy is like, good grief, kid. What the fuck? You're 8. Or, something along those lines. He probably wouldn't be like that. It's probably what Kakashi was like, to be honest. Guy would be like, yes, the power of youth! Or some insane shit like that. That's just how Guy is. But Izuku would master every technique that Guy could ever hope to teach him with ease. In fact, Izuku would actually pick up on some chakra. And so I'm going to explain what chakra means in this what if. So in this headcanon, chakra is something that could be opened like Nen. And if you don't know what Nen is, then Nen is a power from Hunter x Hunter, and you can actually force it out of someone with a quote-unquote, look down upon technique, but, just makes it easier for your students and you, because if you know anything about teaching, I'm a tutor, so I know stuff about teaching. If there's something that you can use to make your and their learning easier, then you just do it. And if it doesn't, affect them down the line really bad, then yeah, you let them do that. So basically, it's called Nen baptism, and that's what this is. So Guy would actually have the quirk of chakra, but he could actually pass that quirk on to other people by using chakra baptism, basically, his version of Nen baptism. So he could use this to open up people's chakra gates. And yeah, which is pretty cool if you think about it. He's kind of like All Might, but he can pass it to he could pass it to the entire world if he really wanted to, but the quirk is not passed down genetically. You have to go through the process of chakra baptism. God, I swear I'm gonna call it Nen baptism 15 times before this video is over. But he does use chakra baptism on Izuku when he is 8 years old, and Izuku now knows how to do basic fire release. But that's about it. He doesn't know how to use any other chakra natures. After all, he is only 8 years old. But to Guy's surprise, Izuku would be able to push his limits over and over and over again, eventually mastering by the time he is 9 years old, the Fireball Jutsu, and even the Great Fireball Jutsu, as well as the Phoenix Flower Jutsu. He would also be really proficient in Shuriken, Kunai, and even the Katana, which is really good for Deku, if you couldn't tell. Because having that is just going to make him even better. Not only does he know, actually, by the time he is 8 years old, before he masters all of his fire release, well, not all of fire release, like just the Great Fireball, and Phoenix Flower, but he actually manages to unlock the first gate when he is 8 years old, which is insane because Guy didn't learn that technique until he was, somewhere around, I'd say, 15, maybe 20 years old, because Guy in this is somewhere around 30. He and Kakashi are around 30 years old. And so, they're both 30 years old, and he unlocked that, and it took half of his life just to unlock the first gate. Now, the other gates obviously fell in line after that and were much easier to pick up and perform. Obviously, he hasn't performed the 8th gate because, you know, that would have killed him. But he does know that it exists. Like, it does exist, but he just doesn't know how to use it. Also, another small tidbit about chakra is that it is Guy's quirk, quote-unquote, but his entire family, for as far as they remember, has been born quirkless, but used chakra baptism through family generations. So his dad had it, and so Might Dai from the original canon of Naruto, died by using the 8th gate against the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. With Zabuza being the only one, Zabuza and the owner Samehada coming out alive, the only 2 that came out alive against him, which is another level of impressive, because we saw what freaking 8 Gates Guy did. Now, obviously, we gotta think that 8 Gates Guy was much stronger than 8 Gates Dai. I mean, the guy's name was literally Might Dai. What did you think was gonna happen to him? But that's besides the point. So yeah, he knows that the 8th gate exists, he just has never used it. But back to the topic of Izuku unlocking at 8. His, Might Guy's son, who he had trained since, like, the young age of, like, 4 years old, no, 3 years old, I think. Yeah, 3 years old, would actually have not even been able to unlock the first gate, and he was actually not able to use ninjutsu. In fact, the only reason that Guy knew about ninjutsu is because his family line couldn't do ninjutsu, but Kakashi learned that you could use chakra to control the elements, and when Guy tried to do it, he couldn't do it. When his son tried to do it, his son couldn't do it. But, to their surprise, both Neji and Tenten, their other 2 students, would actually be able to manipulate chakra for nature, as well as Izuku would also be able to do this. So, I know this is what if Deku had the 8 gates, but he will also have chakra, just like a basic chakra. And so he'll know basic jutsus. Like, obviously, he doesn't have Sharingan, he doesn't have Rinnegan, he don't have Byakugan, he ain't got any of that crap, he ain't got any special Kenkai Genkai, he doesn't have any special jutsu. They don't even, so chakra release, like nature release, combining chakra natures, that might exist later in the series, but they'll have to get really proficient, because right now, Kakashi, who is like a freaking G at releases, has never thought of combining 2 chakra natures, so these kids aren't going to think of that anytime soon. But, a guy, once seeing Izuku, has mastered 3 ninjutsu of fire release, the art of the kunai, the art of the shuriken, and the art of the katana, as well as he can open the first gate, and is basically mastered the first gate. Like, basically, there's like little to no stamina drain, although when you open it initially, there really is no stamina drain, but he's managed it to where it's basically like he can just pop it and then pop out of it and he'll be fine. So yeah, no fatigue whatsoever from using the first gate. So Izuku is now 10 years old, and he actually gets to meet Rock Lee because Guy said, yeah, with this amount of power, he should be able to keep up with his classmates. I mean, he's doing something that none of them can do, which is unlocking the first gate. Well, besides Neji, but, you know, Neji's a prodigy. Izuku is 10 years old when he meets Rock Lee, and Rock Lee is almost a carbon copy of Guy Sensei because he is actually Rock Lee's son. I might have mentioned that earlier, I can't remember, but yes, he is Rock Lee's son, which makes the dynamic between Rock Lee and Guy make a whole lot more sense, although you might think, why isn't he named like Might something? He just wanted to do something that his family, I don't know. He just named him Rock Lee. I don't really have an explanation. His other teammates are Neji Hyuga, which, yes, he is still a part of a Hyuga clan, but they're more like a family. It's just the Hyuga family, not the Hyuga clan. And they do all have the Byakugan, but he is an only child. So there's no Hinata, there's no nothing like that. It's just Hisashi. Oh, no, wait, that's... no, it's Hiyashi, sorry. So I know Hiyashi was technically Hinata's father, but we're just gonna do it like that because Hisashi is also Izuku's father's name. Or, it would just be really weird if the two families ever met. If, like, she met their family and the guy's name was Hisashi. So it's just gonna be Hiyashi and his wife for this canon. And they're gonna have Neji, which is gonna be their only child. And Neji is a lavender-eyed, proud martial artist whose quirk is obviously just his Byakugan. That's what I'm gonna make his quirk. Rock Lee is obviously quirkless because he's born into Might Guy's family line. And lastly, Tenten is one of his teammates. And she is a proud weapon specialist with her hair put up in the Princess Leia hairdo on, so yeah, 2 buttons either side of her head. She is very proficient in weapons, like she was in the original canon. She can do, like, the weird crap where she could summon a bunch of weapons from scrolls and stuff like that, use a bunch of giant weapons. So, yeah, she's pretty good, to be honest. And also, Neji can use what he normally could, or, well, he's 10 now, so he's not as proficient. Like, he doesn't have the rotation, but he does have the 8 trigram 64 palms, and he can use the gentle fist technique. So he does not have the rotation though yet. That's like mastering the Byakugan, which compared to mastering the Sharingan is, the Byakugan was such a letdown in Shippuden. I'm not gonna lie, the Byakugan was such a letdown. Although that vision looking outward for like a kilometer, that's pretty good. Still, compared to, like, Susanoo, I'd rather have Susanoo. So Rock Lee, with his first interaction with Izuku, would actually accept Izuku because he knows the intense training that his father has put Izuku under, and actually has heard his father say that, like, on multiple occasions, Izuku has gone nearly 24 hours straight on, like, a Saturday. Yeah, it would only be on a Saturday if Izuku ever tried, because if he did it on a Sunday, he wouldn't have any energy on Monday, and his mom doesn't want that, because she also wants him to get a good education. Kind of like how Chi-Chi was with Goten, but she's much more willing. She actually wants her son to be strong, and to want her son to train, but she doesn't want she doesn't want that to affect his academic life. And so Izuku has mastered the balance between grades and doing what he loves, which is training. So, as I said, Rock Lee actually accepted Izuku as his rival. He did have originally Neji as his rival, and Neji is still kind of like a rival. They have this, like, rival triangle. And yeah, that's basically how Rock Lee's first interaction went. Neji, obviously being Neji, would just say, I could beat you easily. And Tenten over here like, yeah, he could beat you easily. Good God, Tenten seriously sounds like one of those people. Like the person beside the bully in, like, the kids movies, like, just copying everything the bully says, and the bully just always tells them to shut up. That's just Tenten in a nutshell, to be honest. So over the couple of years that they would train together, Rock Lee would be very fond of Izuku, and he would grow close with him and become best friends with Izuku. As I mentioned earlier, Neji Byakugan And you might be wondering what Kakashi and Tenten's quirks are. Kakashi, he will just be DMS Kakashi, which I know sounds really overpowered, and he won't have any, like, Mankagekyo strain, so Curse of Hatred is just gone, all of that stuff's just gone. So, but he does have the DMS, the double Mankagekyo Sharingan, which was actually his quirk, and he unlocked the Mankagekyo Sharingan from his best friend dying. It wasn't Rin, it was Obito, so he unlocked the double Mankagekyo Sharingan from Obito dying. There was no Rin in the picture, they were just friends, and then Obito just somehow died in a villain attack, and that's why. And so yeah, it'll be DMS Kakashi, but Kakashi, obviously it'll take a lot of chakra, or just a lot of, like, energy to use the double Mankagekyo, and he can get it up to perfect Susanoo, but at this point in the story, he's only had Mankagekyo for around, I'd say, well, he's had it for about 15 years. So, I know that might sound like a long time, but Kakashi, in the actual canon, had it for 15 years and didn't realize he had it until he was, like, Shippuden. So this Kakashi would actually only have discovered it about 2 years ago, and would only have, he would be mastering his abilities mostly, and only really focused on the Susanoo when he accidentally used it one time on a mission with Guy. And he would have gotten his Susanoo up to the full skeletal, which is the ribcage, the 2 arms, and the head. But he has not even gotten the skin Susanoo yet. But he's working towards that Susanoo, if you will. So over the years of training together, all 4, 5. Sorry, I'm counting how many members there are. So there's the 3. Okay, so 5. So it is 5. No, 4. I mean, no, 6. It's 6. Because 2 senseis and 4 students. So it's all 6 of them would train together, and Guy would help Izuku and Lee open the rest of the gates, while Izuku would be swapping between senseis, because Kakashi would be teaching Tenten and Neji how to manipulate chakra, how to use their quirks properly. Obviously, the quirk training he wouldn't be a part of, but the chakra nature control training would be really helpful to Izuku. And Izuku, by the end of it, would realize that he can use all 5 chakra natures, something that not even Kakashi can do. And he can use, and I'm just going to list off a bunch of jutsus here, he hasn't worked on Fireball in a while, or Fire in a while, because he's been learning the others. So he knows the Water Trumpet Jutsu, the Water Bullet Jutsu, the Wind Bullet Jutsu, and the Gale Palm Jutsu. He knows the Mud Wall Jutsu and the Headhunter Jutsu, and for Lightning Release, he knows the Lightning Palm Jutsu and the Lightning Bolt Jutsu. He can also cloak his sword in Lightning Chakra, or his katana in Lightning Chakra, sort of like what Sasuke did in Shippuden and Boruto. I know, I mentioned the cursed anime. Oh no. But besides that... Oh, and I forgot to mention, Tenten's quirk is melee weapon creation. So basically, she can create any weapon that you can think of. But she's much better than Momo. I'm not... Oh, okay, hear me out. Her quirk is... Everything else, Momo is much better in. Tenten just has to think what the weapon looks like. If she has a visual in her mind, she can create it. Momo has to know the chemical compounds. That's all I'm saying. But then again, Momo's creating stuff like cannons, so I mean, she's really smart. So both of them obviously can create stuff that's already assembled. So if you ask for like a multi-part weapon, it will already be assembled. So if you ask for like a bow and arrow, she'll give you like the bow and the arrows, as well as maybe a quiver. Actually, no. She's melee weapon creation. Now let's just say weapon creation, but like no guns. Melee weapon creation, no guns. But besides this, Kakashi and Guy would actually have like their dojo set up in how the Naruto universe worked. So they would all pass the Genin test, which would basically be them performing a feat such as opening the 3rd gate for Izuku and for Rock Lee, it would be opening the third gate. Izuku just decided to do the third gate because that was just easier for him to pass instead of trying to do the clone jutsu, because Izuku couldn't really master the clone jutsu, although when Kakashi told him to use the shadow clone jutsu, he actually managed to make a perfect shadow clone, which was really weird to Kakashi and really weird to everyone else because the clone jutsu was supposed to be easier than the shadow clone jutsu, but, you know, sort of like a Naruto situation, he's kind of special with his chakra, which is why he knows all 5 chakra natures. But they all can quickly become Chunin. There's no, like, Chunin exams or anything, but they do it through various missions, like saving cats and stopping robbers and thieves, and eventually they would work their way up to sort of like a skill tree almost. Like, the more stuff you do, the closer you are to getting Chunin. So, like, you do this, and you do this, and you do this, and you do this, and then, oh yeah, you're a Chunin now. Or you do a couple of missions or a certain amount of this a certain amount of time. You do this a certain amount of times or something like that. But let's just say they do a bunch of stuff hero-wise, quote-unquote, and they become Chunin. And finally, they are ready to become Jonin at the age of 15. If they can defeat at least one of their teachers, they all pass. Their opponent is Kakashi. He smiles at them. Well then, I did not expect you to make it this far in your training, but I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you don't get discouraged. You can always try again next year, he says with an eye smile. All 4 of them would smile at each other. Then Neji would activate his Byakugan, while Tenten would grab out a couple of scrolls that she saved just for this situation. And Lee and Izuku would go through the first 3 gates. Kakashi would open his eyes, and he would say, begin. Or, you know, if you're a frickin' weeaboo, Hajime. Don't ask me how I know this, I watch too much anime. Neji rushes at Kakashi from the left, and Lee would rush from the right. Neji would try and go for a shutting down of Kakashi's chakra points, which he would learn that this is not just stunning, but also since Neji's would be able to see chakra / life energy, he'd be able to see the life energy of people and sort of can do what Kurama can by sensing emotions, sensing intent, almost like a Sharingan type ability, but like he senses their intent, but not like sensing what they're about to do. But it's almost like he can predict their movements, but, you know, it's based off a guess rather than him actually predicting and knowing what their movements are going to be, like a 2-to-1 Sharingan. So, still, it's good, but it's still not as good as Sharingan. And so, Neji would try and go for his shutting down technique, 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Well, obviously, he would shoot a couple of Gale Palms at Kakashi, but Kakashi would block them with ease, block or dodge them with ease. He would then, Neji would obviously get into stance, and then Lee would be rushing with a primary Lotus from his right. Tenten would then unroll her scrolls and jump up the air while spinning, using her Rising Phoenix Hurricane. And she creates hundreds of shuriken and kunai that would go, they would basically poof from the paper and then fly at Kakashi. Like shuriken, kunai, ball and chains, knives, whatever you can name. And Neji and Lee would make contact. Neji would be hitting the first chakra point, while Lee would be smacking into the back of Kakashi's neck, while the rest, like most of Tenten, obviously she's not aiming quite properly, she's just launching a lot in that direction, so some of it's going to fly past Kakashi, but a lot of it's still going to hit him. And then, out of nowhere, Kakashi starts to morph until he is a completely blue blob of energy. He's morphed into lightning. And the lightning then molds into needles, which pierce all of Neji and Lee's chakra points, leaving them on the ground, paralyzed. Not just temporarily, not permanently. Lightning clone, shit. Tenten says to herself, and then she yells, "Oh shit!" as she looks behind her, and Kakashi has used the Earth-style headhunter jutsu and smacks her across the room. Like, not really smack, like he punches her, but she goes flying across the room. But he didn't realize himself that he was being played. Izuku himself would appear behind Kakashi using the same headhunter jutsu. Kakashi wouldn't really care at first, but then Izuku would jump straight to the 7th gate out of nowhere. Kakashi would be like, what the fuck, man? But Izuku would activate his quirk. Kakashi would try to activate his quirk, but it was too late. Izuku could only use the 7th gate for a minute before he just was like out for almost like a day. But it was long enough to pass for now. Tenten would also dart towards Kakashi, being able to recover from her injury with ease, basically. I mean, she's 15 at this point. She's going to be a Jonin, or hopefully, if they win. So she can take a small punch, even if it does send her across the room. She didn't get no Detroit smashed. It was just a simple punch. Tenten actually ran towards Kakashi as Izuku pummeled the unaware teacher into the corner. And Kakashi was about to use his quirk, which is the Sharingan, obviously, but a kunai to the neck stopped him. Tenten had put him in an impossible situation. Neji was on the ground looking right at him, and if Neji even as much sensed Kakashi trying to activate his quirk, he would signal Tenten and she would slit his throat. Damn, that's checkmate, Kakashi would say with an eye smile. Tenten jumped for joy, screaming yelling a girlish scream like the Eee! Oh god, that was probably ear rape, sorry. And she helped Kakashi take the 3 boys to the lounge. Guy would then congratulate them, saying, "Oh yes, the power of youth has prevailed once again!" Kakashi would laugh, and they would all laugh along. Finally, Izuku was there, a Jonin. Izuku would stand up on a chair and clap his hands together. Everybody would look at Izuku, and Izuku would say, "I thank you all for helping me. And I promise I'll come here whenever I get the chance. But, Guy-sensei, Kakashi-sensei, I would really like to get into UA High School, if you don't mind. I would like to be able to become a hero. I've always wanted to go to UA, and it would be really nice if I could go." Guy would look at Kakashi, and Kakashi would just nod. Guy would then say, "Alright, if that's really what you want, young Izuku, then you go ahead and do it." Izuku would smile, thanking Guy and thanking Kakashi, before hearing the beep of his mom's car and saying, "Oh, that's me, guys. I gotta go. Oh, and don't we get like a new headband or something?" "Yes, it's the black headband. I actually had them already made. Here you go." Izuku would grab his headband with the Leaf's symbol on it. Obviously, it's not called the Leaf symbol, but we know it as the Leaf symbol. Now, it's a black one to symbolize that it's a Jonin. So a Genin's one would actually be a almost like a light blue, while a Chunin's would be a dark blue and a Jonin's would be a black. Izuku would stuff it in his bag, obviously not gonna wear it just in casual clothes and going home. And he would run home and greet his mom, saying, "Well, it looks like you had a lot of fun today." "Yeah, I did. Come on, Mom, let's go home. I got some applications to do." "Alright then. Well, let's see. Let's hope you get in, my son." "Yeah, of course, Mom." Inka would look down and just pull the car out, pulling her skirt down just a tad bit more, hoping Izuku would not notice. But little to her knowledge, Izuku had known since he was the age of 13. But Izuku wouldn't ask. He would just continue with his life. And once he became strong enough to support both him and his mom could finally stop doing everything she was doing. His mom could finally be able to live a good life again. Alright guys, that's going to do it for part 2 of What If Deku Had the 8 Gates. I think that was somewhere around as long as the first part. If I'm not, then I'm obviously not. But I hope you guys enjoyed what I did with this. This episode had a much lighter tone than the first one, which I don't know if the dark tone was the appeal of the first one. If it was, then I'm sorry. This one wasn't meant to. This was more meant to show how Izuku evolves and then like evolves into becoming how to mold the 8 gates, how to use chakra, basically explaining how he becomes like how he gets the 8 gates and then goes. Now he's going to UA, and we're going to follow the canon timeline. Obviously, things are going to be changed. He doesn't have one for all, he has the 8 gates, and we're going to see just how that changes him in UA. But with that out of the way, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below, as well as in my later videos, I will be posting people and content creators that I would love for you to check out. Check out Kira Gem, check out Lucid Hokage, check out Izukage, and check out Red Demon. They're all amazing YouTubers. Obviously, as I said in my Rinnegan video, Kira Gem isn't a what if YouTuber, but he is still, in my opinion, a good YouTuber. But the other 3 are quite amazing what if YouTubers, and they will, they're good. Just trust me, they're good. But with that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next video.